Hi, I'm Jessica Rudnicki with Reynolds and Reynolds. Welcome back to Connected. Today I'm talking with Scott Frieszell, Director of Network Services at Reynolds and Reynolds, about what you can do to protect your dealership network in a time when the digital landscape is changing dramatically. Let's get connected. Hi, Scott. Thanks so much for being here today.
Hi, Jess. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you on the podcast today because network security has been extremely important throughout the last several months. So, can you tell us a little bit about what's changed in the industry recently and what dealers are doing or should be doing to protect their businesses right now?
Sure. Uh, Dealerships are becoming increasingly more dependent on their technology and communication technology. This is due in part to migrating to more digital technology for a better customer touchless experience, the online car buying, and then most recently, a lot of the dealerships have been having to have people work remotely. So all those things combined have really, uh, brought to the attention or brought to the customer's attention that they need more enhanced security.
Yeah, those are all great points. Scott, if a dealer is installing new technology or new solutions to help create more of that touchless customer experience, why is it important that their network is secure? And are there any repercussions or maybe consequences for those who aren't placing an emphasis on network security right now?
Yeah, dealerships store an incredible amount of private customer information, which it's critical that that be protected both for the customer and to protect the dealership from potential lawsuits and breaches. Unfortunately, there's also been an increase in the volume and sophistication of cyber attacks. So it's important to have a strong network infrastructure in place overall to protect the customer and business data.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. We're seeing it, unfortunately, more frequently with the cyber attacks.
Yep.
What tips do you have for dealers to set up that strong infrastructure that you mentioned while keeping the network as secure as they possibly can?
Well, there's a number of areas, and won't go into a lot of technical detail, but information security in general, just securing the data physically is one of the key elements, and that's really centers around access control. So limiting who has access to the data, whether it's through only people have access to it that actually need it, or keeping it in a controlled, locked environment. Desktop security is another big one, whether that's remote or in the dealership, and that really falls under passwords, changing your passwords frequently, having a good password policy, antivirus software on the PCs, and then updates such as Windows updates. Um, there's perimeter security. Most of our customers today have firewalls in place. However, we highly recommend to use some type of next generation type firewall that does the deep packet inspections. That firewall should also have antivirus and malware blocking capability, as well as intrusion detection, intrusion and prevention capability. And then if they're going to have remote users, that same firewall normally would control, providing it with secure remote access and VPNs. Customer training and awareness is also a key area. Employees, are usually the weakest link in a network defense, so they need to make sure that the employees are trained to recognize and handle phishing scams, email scams, etc. And then lastly, network monitoring and reporting. This is actually something a lot of the dealerships don't do, but we recommend having some kind of tool in place to actually look at the data and information you're getting from the firewall to see who's trying to come in and then make adjustments to the firewall as needed. Um, Cyber attacks, you need to identify who's been trying to attack you or if you've had a breach and then what to do about that. Also keep an eye on new and evolving threats, and then consider even an independent assessment of your network security, perimeter security, and internal, just to see where your network falls.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like those are some pretty common sense actions that dealers can be taking, to immediately improve that their network security right now. I know here at Reynolds, we have to change our passwords every 90 days, so that's something
Yep.
that we get an update on. So extremely important. Scott, another topic I kind of wanted to touch on is remote work. So,
Mhm.
are there any increased security risks that dealers should be aware of with remote employees?
Yeah, anytime you're allowing remote access to your network, you're increasing your risk for malicious activity. To avoid this, we recommend dealers use some kind of encrypted VPN connection from their remote users' facilities to their dealership network. Uh, as we mentioned earlier, use of a good next generation level firewall is key. And then implement a strong security policy, especially with regards to passwords. Passwords should be at least 8 characters long and include upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and unique characters. A logout policy for failed attempts is a good idea. And then require your password to be changed at least every 90 days, if not more frequently. Keep in mind devices can be stolen, so they need to encourage their users from home not to put their passwords on their devices from home. Limit access to sensitive data, so your remote users that are logging in, if they don't need access to PII or sensitive data, try to keep them, that information separate. And if possible, implement some kind of multi-factor authentication so that when they log in, it's maybe a two-step login process. You got your password to log in, but then we're going to send you an email back with another password, and that really helps, authenticate and validate who's logging in.
Yeah, wonderful advice. Thank you for sharing those tips and thank you again for being here today. Before we hop off, is there anything else that you would like to add or maybe any other best practices you want to share?
No, not really. I think we covered it. Just kind of the key takeaway points are, implementing a thorough internet usage policy, good, desktop and perimeter security, and then a strong information policy, particularly around passwords. If you, we think if the dealer does that, they'll significantly reduce their risk for any type of security incidents.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Scott, thank you again for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Great information and tips from Scott. We really hope you're able to put some of what we talked about into practice. Before we hop off, just a quick reminder, you can watch past and future podcast episodes on YouTube or listen to episodes on Apple and Spotify podcasts by searching for the Connected Podcast. Subscribe on these channels to get notified every Wednesday when new episodes are released. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Wednesday.